Hi everybody, welcome to this quick 9 general wind direction playthrough for the division and dates shown on screen right now. All 9 holes, timestamps in the description down below. Please hit thumbs up and make sure you subscribe to the channel. Remember to check out our channel homepage. There is daily quick 9 content available for multiple divisions. Please remember some of these replays may be from the time before Playdemic changed the attribute levels. On this par 4, we're going to drive with our APOC followed by Sniper. With APOC 5 and 6, I've got the red ring touching the rough on the left at the top of plus 10. We're adding spin, 3 top spin and 3 left spin. If you've got APOC 4, you will be at P6 max rest with 20% of the red ring overlapping the rough. Top spin obviously is going to vary depending on your wind angle. In headwind, I would play a little bit more top spin, probably about 4 bars, and in level crosswind, around 3.5 bars to get to the right point. Adjustment here is max distance with 10% elevation. Then we're going to go with some curl here. You're going to go with half a ball of curl to the left. Obviously in headwind, you will adjust into overpower, so I would suggest you set further back there. Obviously let the top spin do the work, but we want to get into the middle of the dogleg part of the fairway, around 345 yards. Second shot, I'm finding my club distance here. You can bounce over with backspin, but there is a nice funnel in the rough if you find it correctly, and it will need a little bit of trial and error with the spin and the landing position, depending where you are with your drive. I'm using top spin and right spin to find the funnel from my position here, and as a recommendation, based on the attempt in the video, I would be playing the rough bump at true club distance with 15% under adjustment. So true club distance minus 15. I'm at approximately mid distance here. It will need a practice token or two if you are playing this hole in a tournament scenario, just to dial it in. But if you find that funnel, it's a very nice route to the pin and you don't have to adjust too many rings as you would playing a standard bounce over shot instead. Few ways you can play this par 3. It is a tricky one though. I'm going to show you a very safe bounce up with the Sniper instead. 1 backspin and 1 left spin, and I'm having the blue ring hugging the rough line at the beginning of the fairway, and you can see there's a little sticky spot and a funnel, not much of one though, but try and find a consistent spot. Ball guide pointing to the hole. You will need to vary that according to your wind angle though here. Mid-distance, 15% elevation is the general elevation I would use and is what I use in the video here. If you want to go more aggressively, then there is a sand bump available from the right-hand bunker immediately before the green. However, you would need some practice tokens to dial that one in. Finally, as there is some tailwind here, I go with a little bit of underpower. You can investigate playing further up as well on different parts of this fairway, but it is very bumpy, but we're avoiding a glitch roll, just missing to the left-hand side on this awkward par 3. On this par 5, looks like it's an NMT setup, but please double check your ring references just in case I'm mistaken there. We are at P6 max rest with our Apocalypse, and you can see level 5 and 6 got a bit of the blue ring overlapping the rough. In the end, I settle with 4 top spin and 2 bars of left spin. I'm actually going to go with an overpower shot here, even though it looks like I'm going to clip the rough and roll out. When I play my shot with the overpower, it will clear very nicely. Adjustment here is max plus 10. One thing to bear in mind here, I am quite close to the rough with my first bounce, so it could well be that I set up further back. You could drag the target back by about 4 or 5 yards, or go with power 4 NMT instead of power 6. Full overpower, slow needle. There you can see we are close to the rough though, so any more tailwind and that would have been dangerous. So make sure you back up your target in tailwind. But either way, we clear very nicely, drive distance of 405 yards. Crosswind here is the best chance for a rough bump, so I'm going to give it a go in this example. Finding an estimate of my true club distance. Obviously, if you're playing tournament, you could build in some reference checks, see if you can get a pin check or a fringe check if you're dialing it in according to your particular wind angle. But you can see here, I'm adding spin. With crosswind, right to left, I'm offsetting just to the right of the pin. It is tweakable. You could either adjust more if you want to aim at the pin, but with crosswind, the approach I'm using here is playing 0 elevation, true club distance. Bear in mind, if you have more tailwind, you will adjust to a lower point, so you would need to add some clicks of overpower. And similarly, if you have headwind, you adjust up onto the green, which is going to cause you to gain distance, so you might need to go with a click of underpower instead. This rough bump is a little bit technical. I would suggest you practice it, otherwise you might get stuck in the sand if you don't put in enough tweaks for your wind angle that you have. But zero elevation, true club distance is a very good starting point indeed. Just needed a small tweak to get that one to drop. Now, if you want to support us on Patreon, you can do so. Details on the screen now. As part of your perks on certain days for the Quick Nines, there will be some Patreon exclusive Master General playthroughs for those holes used. So make sure you check us out there. On this par 3, any hint of headwind, I'm going to bounce over from the minimum distance line with the sniper. In tailwind, though, with a power 6 ball, this is not going to be possible. You will need to play a backspin shot from nearer the pin, the other side of the bunker. So at the min line, adding spin accordingly, a little bit of backspin, a little bit of side spin in this wind angle. It is almost straight crosswind, but there is enough headwind elements so not to adjust on the min line. And the adjustment I'm going with here is min plus 30. It is a fair old adjust. You will need to tweak the position of the ball guide depending on your wind angle. But in any form of headwind, playing from the min line is a really good starting point with our sniper. Make sure you've packed the grizzly so you have a firm min line. If you want to investigate the backspin options, then the Guardian will probably be the club to use for free to play, unless of course you want to go with a wind resistance ball with low power, in which case you might be able to use the sniper. Now, with enough tailwind in this hole, you can actually be cheap, and I'm going to show you a shot with the Titan in this wind angle. P6 max stretch, bullseye is shown in the middle of that fairway strip, and then we're adding our spin. We're going with 5.8 top spin and 2 right spin. The reason I'm using the Titan is because I want the extra wind push. You can, of course, use a berserker as well, but then it makes the second shot harder. If you don't have this amount of tailwind, though, I would suggest you lay up either on that middle fairway, dodging the water or the sand, or you play out to the fairway to the right. The disadvantage of using the right side, though, is you have quite a downhill approach, and it would be with your wood club. Full overpower, slow needle, perfect ball away. Bouncing where we were aiming, stretched out, and we want to get a good roll out here. Just making it out there is a risk of a dead bounce, so the adjustment was max plus 5. If you've got more topspin available, of course, you should use it. Second shot with the thorn. The good thing about going aggressively here is we can play with the thorn, find the min and the max line. Alternatively, get yourself a reference check in tournament mode. If you're getting a pin check or a fringe check, that will help you narrow down some slider percentages. But if not, estimating is a decent opportunity, maybe not as good as finding a reference check though. Setting up on the fringe for the best bounce here, and then spin as needed in tailwind to get the ball guide just short of the cup, because the tailwind is going to push us on more than is shown by the ball guide. I estimate this to be around mid-distance. I'm going to play with 10% elevation, and that's what I would use as a starting point in all wind angles. A very, very close miss here, just a little tweak needed to the aim or a correction of pull angle. Obviously, if you're playing into headwind or crosswind, you need to adapt the position of the ball guide accordingly, but a very good chance playing aggressively for the eagle. Two types of play to suggest on this par 5. The first is looking at a nasty wind angle. I'm going to set up with the quarterback first, and I'm having the blue ring touching the rough on the left at the top of plus 6 yards. Then switch to APOC and sniper bag, and I'm going to add 5.8 top spin and 3 left spin to make this shot playable with clubs as low as APOC 4, or indeed you could play this with extra mile 8 if you don't have the Apocalypse, doesn't matter. Once we've done our club swap and added spin, we then adjust maximum distance with 10% elevation. APOC 4 extra mile is going to have a shaky needle here, but for APOC 5 and above, it's not too shaky at all. We're going to go with full overpower and half a ball of curl to the left. Hitting perfect here. Obviously, if you've got level crosswind, you can set up with your APOC at max distance with less topspin, but the reason I'm using the quarterback is so we can go with full overpower and a slower needle. Second shot is going to be hard to drop with the sniper from distance, but we're going to give it a go, and worst case scenario, you will still have an easy putt for your eagle. Try and find a good position here. There is a little sticky spot in the fairway, and then you just need to add your spin accordingly. I'm aiming ball guide to hole here, and then I reduce some of the side spin to give me an offset to compensate for the wind push rather than adjusting a ridiculous amount of rings. Adjustment here, I would play as a general elevation true club distance with 20%. It does need quite a bit of elevation, this one. Obviously, if you can push the drive harder, then you may well be nearer minimum distance of your club, in which case it's less rings to adjust and you've got more control and more chance to drop the shot. So if you can push the drive harder with a nicer wind angle, then by all means do so. But it's useful to have a nasty wind angle in this example so you know what to do, and you can still get the eagle if you're faced with headwind off the tee. Perfect ball, little adjustment needed to the aim or a tweak, coming in nicely, just missing to the right-hand side. Now this shot is not for the faint-hearted. You will need to practice it with tokens as it is a fixed aim hook shot, and you will get different outcomes depending on wind angle and wind strength variance. So I'm just finding my point between the trees, adding 4.2 topspin and 2 left spin with a berserker, full OP, full curl and a full power hook. Like I said though, these shots are very variable. I'm showing it here as an example of what you might try if you've got some tokens and berserkers to spend. You could, though, as well as end up on the green, end up in the rough or the sand. The choice is yours, risk versus reward. Now, although you can support us financially on Patreon, you can also join as a free member. If you do that, you will get bonus master level text guide content from the Coalition. They produce text guides for free every tournament, free to play balls, and we send those out when they do so. And they very kindly agreed to let me share their archives of all the courses used in this season of Quick Nines for you all to use, because there may be some wind angles that you get as part of the Quick Nines that they have in their archive. So you will receive those if you join us as a free member on our Patreon. Tricky little par 3 to get right here. I'm setting up with the sniper at P0 max rest. That is just before plus yards if you don't want to use a power 0 ball. Blue ring touching the rough on the left. We're going with 5 backspin and 1 bar of right spin in this wind angle. You can see there the ball guide stopping short of pin because the wind is hopefully going to push us into the hole with this wind angle. You will need to vary the spins according to the wind angle you have, but you will have room to adjust in all wind angles using this starting position. Adjustment here is 1 to 1. So for an 11 mile per hour wind, I'm going to adjust a total of 11 rings on this one. Making our adjustment, and then it is time to take our shot. We are going to go with no curl, but I am using some underpower to counteract the tailwind push here, and you can see it's just before circle break underpower. Perfect ball away, and then we are landing nicely on that flattish piece of fairway. Just a small tweak needed, but the speed is very good on this very difficult par 3. On this par 4, we're going to land on that small strip of fairway, swing the ball round. Bullseye in the middle of the narrow part of the fairway at the top of plus 10 with APOC 5 and above. P6 max rest with APOC 4, that will be plus 16. Going with 5.8 topspin and 3 right spin. Please note, though, in headwind you will not be able to play this route and will need to lay up on the left-hand side and try and swing the ball round with as much distance as you can for a wood club, or maybe, if you're lucky, a long iron approach with a higher power ball. But level crosswind, minor headwind, you might be okay here, but definitely any tailwind you can play aggressively. Adjustment is max plus 10, full overpower with half a ball of curl to the right, and then of course hit perfect with this narrow strip of fairway. Minor greats should be all right with APOC 5 and above, but we want to try and hit perfect if we can. Top spin takes us nicely, and we're going to end up with a short iron shot from here. Drive distance of around 412 yards. You can see I'm just over mid-distance of my club here. I'm finding my min and max lines, but obviously if you're dialing this one in, get yourself a reference check if possible. Landing on the fringe gives me a very nice bounce point here. It's consistent, so I aim with the ball guide through the hole and then add backspin as needed and maybe some side spin to offset in the event of crosswind to get the ball guide just finishing to the front edge of the cup. A little bit short though, obviously with tailwind. If you've got crosswind, ball guide level with the pin, headwind, ball guide slightly through the hole to compensate for that second bounce wind effect. In all wind angles here, I would suggest you play with 10% elevation as your starting point and play true club distance. So here I'm just over mid distance, so I would set the slider accordingly. Centre the ball and it's time to hit perfect, and you have got a very good chance here to drop. If you don't get the drive distance that I had, you could still try and have a go with your long iron instead. If you are enjoying the free content here on the channel and want to help out and keep everything free, then please consider making a small donation. All donations are gratefully received and help me out here on the channel, as all of the content here is produced for free in my own spare time. You can do that in one of three ways. You can hit the thanks button here on YouTube, you can make a PayPal donation via the link in the description down below, or you can also join us over on Patreon. Details at the end of the video. A long and tricky par 5 here. The drive is all about getting close to the end of the fairway without rolling into the rough. It is easier said than done. 5 top spin, 1 left spin. P6 max rest with APOC 5 and above. With APOC 5 and 6, I've got the red ring touching the rough. Tailwind angle here means we can attack with the Guardian for your second shot, so make sure you've got it in your bag. You can still get to green in 2 with the sniper in crosswind as well, but you'd obviously have to bounce over the water. But the drive here, max plus 10, and then we are taking our shot. Again, like I say, it's very, very difficult to get consistent yardage here. You don't want to roll too long, so a practice token is advised. You want to pull up just before the end of the fairway. I'm using the Guardian here in tailwind. I'm going to go full blast and use the spin, the massive backspin we have on the club, with 1 left spin to bounce directly just before the green and get the spin to grab and leave myself a putt. This is not a hole that you will see many players get an albatross on at all. We're adjusting max plus 0. Now the amount of push-up you need to do after this all depends on the wind strength you have and also the wind angle. So again, a practice token is advisable to at least secure the eagle. You will see a lot of players birdie this hole. If you can't go full blast here, then lay up to the end of the second fairway in headwind and then try and get a wedge or a short iron. Or if you have crosswind and not much tailwind or headwind, then you can bounce over with the sniper, play with a lot of right curl, top spin into the rough beyond the water and roll out to the green. Pushing up as shown there, full overpower, doesn't matter about the great ball. It is going to be a shaky needle though. We're bouncing there, loads of room for error. The backspin grabs and we are ending up there with a very, very short putt to secure the eagle on this very tough par 5. Thanks very much for watching this video here on the channel. If it has helped you in any way, please consider sharing it amongst your friends and clanmates in the game. Join us also on Facebook. Head over there, search for BK Golf Clash and join our free group. Loads of members there sharing shots. Free guides are posted, as well as loads of other great Golf Clash resources. So check us out there. You can join in the discussion and also leave feedback on the game in general. Finally, if you wish to help support the channel and keep the content free for everybody, please consider becoming a Patreon member. The link is in the video description down below. Good luck, see you soon, bye for now.